Hey everyone, so this is just a video on basically some things that I've been working on there. So yeah, update video basically. I'm just recording this now a couple of hours after the Disgaea video, the one where basically I talk about the things that we didn't get in the West, so it's not doing as well right now as I'd hoped. It's seeing a few hundred views less than normally, but hey, you can't really control these things, can you? The people who have watched it seem to like it, so that's cool. I think the video turned out quite well as well. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit what's coming up. There's some limited edition games coming in, and also I'm going to be remaking a video I've done before. So you probably, or well, maybe not, but a lot of you may know about the Where to Start video on the Nintendo Switch. It's quite popular still. It still gets a decent amount of views. Actually, let me check how many it has here while I'm talking. But basically, because of the OLED Switch coming out, obviously it's not going to be an up-to-date video, is it? So I kind of want to just have that in there as well, and just complete it a little bit with some of the things that have been, like what's the thing that happened? Like you can use Bluetooth headphones now, for example. So I think that's probably something worth, having in a guide like that, right? I was also thinking of doing Where to Start guides on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this year or wait for next year. It's just that, demand is, not demand, but rather actually supply is still a problem. So, maybe it would be more helpful to actually have one next year rather than this year. Anyways, I'm still debating on that. But let me tell you about some limited editions that are coming up. There's actually, it's also not just limited editions, but game reviews as well. So I emailed Idea Factory. There's a PR person I have as a contact there. And I asked him, I was like, hey, the Neptunia Senran Kagura LE, that crossover game, is it okay maybe to, could you maybe send me one? Because they did that with Virtual Stars, the one with the vinyl record. They emailed me and they're like, hey, do you want this? So yeah, they got back to me and they're like, hey, yeah, that's actually cool, no problem. But then he's like, by the way, I actually wanted to contact you about the Mary Skelter Finale limited edition. Do you want to, give that a go? And I'm like, yes, actually. I've actually been curious about the Mary Skelter series because whenever I'm talking about the Morero Chronicle and Crystal games, that dungeon crawler with the monster girls, people bring up Mary Skelter because, well, now I know why, because it looks like it's basically like the same game but dressed up differently. Like the mechanics are very, very similar. They feel very similar, but they have different storylines and a different aesthetic, So I was like, I want to give it a go. But I do know that Mary Skelter is a trilogy there, so I asked, hey, can I have the two other games, please, as well? I wasn't sure if I was asking for too much there, but then they're like, hey, no problem. Here's Mary Skelter 2, which comes with the first game remade or remastered or whatever, in there as well as a DLC. This is, by the way, all for the Switch. I figured, hey, this is a good kind of Switch game, right? Dungeon crawling on the toilet, I suppose, is something that seems appealing. Oh, there was a weird buzzing noise. Hopefully that didn't come through. But yeah, it's been sent out. I should probably later in the week or maybe early next week get the Mary Skelter Finale Switch LE. I've been playing the first game for, several hours now. And yeah, it's interesting. If you've played the Morero Crystal or Morero Chronicle games, then you may know that it's you'll probably be able to tell that it's very similar indeed. The way you go through the dungeons and everything. There's some sounds in the menus and also some of the fonts that I recognize from Neptunia games as well. It's an interesting thing where just several things remind you of other games. Because, Idea Factory, Compile Hard and all that stuff, with asset sharing and all that. Or perhaps you even want to call it, recycling of assets. Because of that, it's you do have that effect when you play it. But basically, yeah, it's like the, Morero games there that the girls fight, the male protagonist doesn't. but more has, it's more like a support role, I suppose. The aesthetic is a bit like a strange mixture between Halloween and circus aesthetics. Sometimes it looks a little bit like over-enthusiastic Halloween decorations. The enemies aren't 3D, which is kind of nice. The enemies in the Monster Girl games was just, they were funny, right? But it's like, they get monotonous quite easily, so I think the 3D one's just a little bit more interesting, just because they don't look like stickers that are floating around on the screen. Though, it does have a weird angle going on with the blood. Like, there's a lot of stuff with blood going on. I know I haven't talked about this story, but I'll get into that when I actually do a video on this game series. But yeah, there's like a specific role with the blood. The girls are called the Blood Maidens. And then these monsters, they're called Marchins, and when they get covered in this blood, they can go into a higher powered massacre state. And then the protagonist, his blood, Jack is his name, and his blood is important because of various reasons. But then you've got like a blood gun, and then you can shoot it on the girls so that to keep them from going out of control, and then they'll go back to their normal state. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of bizarre in a way. It's like, I don't quite get the whole blood angle and why it's done in that way. I have a feeling when it comes to the storyline, like somebody had some sort of blood fetish or something, and they're like, I need to shove this into the story somehow. And then that's what happened. Like, I'm okay with it. It's just, I find it a bit weird. Not like I'm weirded out. I mean, it would take a lot more than that to weird me out. But it's, I don't know, I guess I've never seen something like that before to that degree. To have blood as a game mechanic like that. So basically, the game plan in terms of, with the video on the Mary Skelter series is that I want to play until like the 3rd dungeon. Then I'll probably, look at, maybe in YouTube, I'll go through the story or read about the story so I know what happened. Then do the 2nd game, maybe also to the 3rd dungeon, just so I can have like a good overview of what that is like. And then also do that with Mary Skelter Finale when that comes in. So that way I know about the story and I've played enough of the gameplay. And then I'll do a video about the series and what I think about it overall. And then of course there'll be an LE unboxing as well because they sent that over. Because the thing is, I can't, I don't have enough time to play through all of these games. Sorry, there's a car driving past. Not sure if you heard that. But the thing is, I can't play all of these games to completion. It'll take too long. Keep in mind that one of the reasons they probably sent me the LE in the first place is because of the release date of Mary Skelter Finale being around this time, so, I kind of wanted to keep it in that time period instead of, posting about it a month or 2 later. Thank you, vehicle. I shouldn't say anything. I have a really loud exhaust in my car anyways, but yeah. Maybe I should have closed my window before recording, but anyways, this is the perks of the 2nd channel where the standards are lower. But yeah, I should say though, overall I like the Mary Skelter games. I do like the tone of the story. It's definitely serious compared to Morero, Crystal, and Chronicle, where it's quite silly and things like that. So that is not the case when it comes to Mary Skelter. It's much more serious, and that's probably also the reason why there's some people in the comments when I reviewed the Monster Girl games, who've stated specifically that they like Mary Skelter much more. I should also say this series is a Vita refugee. So I think currently it's on the PS4 and also the Switch, and I don't know which games are on Steam or not. But me just playing the first game, you can really notice that it's a Vita game. Originally, it's it has the same look as obviously the Morero games. The resolution is actually quite low with everything, I guess to keep it at 60 FPS on the Switch. I'm assuming that looks much better on the PS4. Like, in handheld mode, you can tell it's low res, but then you put it in docked mode, and it's still not 1080p. And it's like, oh, well, it's not amazing. But you know what? With the Dungeon Crawler, I don't really mind too much. It's one of the few games where I'm not too fussed with the graphics. But yeah, basically that's what I've been working on there. Hopefully I'll be able to get that all done in a timely manner. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that update. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.